Well, hey, everybody.
Howdy.
Thanks for joining us for these live stream reviews. We are going to dive into as many as we can. I think we have about 14 submissions. Unlikely that we'll get through all of them, but we will work as quick as we can on these. But we want to be thorough as well. And if you also have tips along the way, drop them in the comments because we're all here to help each other. Just be constructive in your feedback. We never want to put each other down, but kind of lift each other up into the next thing, right? We're all working on getting better, even us. Every Sunday there's something that we could do better. And also let us know where you're tuning in from. We're in the Tulsa, Oklahoma area and finally having some like ideal winter weather here where it's in the 50s and sunny and not windy during the day. Are you game with that or are you still cold?
Well, it's kind of cold in the morning. It's like 30 degrees in the morning.
Dylan's always cold. He's got him a little space heater in his office and got his hoodie on all day long.
What can I say?
But we do this, we review live streams once a month, and we do this for our all access subscribers. So if you're here and you're like, how do I get my live stream reviewed? Well, first you need to become an all access subscriber. And that doesn't just get you the ability to get your live stream reviewed, but you'll get access to all of our courses and all of our cheat sheets and also our private Slack group where we're answering questions every day throughout the week. So you never have to do this alone. All access is $29 a month. Except for right now, we are running a special where you get your first month for $7. Hey. And so you can go jump in on that right now if you want to. There's probably a link in the description to this, maybe not. If not, just go to collaborateworship.com, go to the courses tab, then hit Church Sound Made Simple. It'll get you where you need to go. Alrighty. I think we're ready to get into this first one. And this is from Agnes with Mount Zion Praise Church. They like the way that their room sounds, but it's not translating well online. So they're looking for ways to get the live stream balanced better and also to make it louder, because I guess for those watching at home, maybe they have the volume all the way up and they're still not getting it loud enough, which is a common problem. We'll talk about that and how we can make the instruments and vocals blend better together. So let's take a listen and then we will go from there. I'll go full screen for you, Dylan. And I'll also unmute because that would probably be helpful.
We give you all the adoration and we magnify your name. There is none like you. From the rising of the sun to the setting down of the same, you reign supreme. Your dominion is forevermore. Adonai. You are so good, Almighty God. Hallowed be thy name. Your dominion is forevermore.
All right, so I definitely see what you're talking about on that things just kind of seem out of balance. Some of the vocals are kind of jumping in and out. And so let's talk about bringing balance to that. And one of the questions that I have really is, since you like the way that it sounds in the room, I'm kind of curious why that doesn't translate well online. Why is it not sounding closer online to it is in your room? So that leaves me wondering how your live stream mix is set up in the first place. Are you using a bus mix that's set to pre-fader? If that's the case, then your live stream is basically kind of like its own mix out there. Whereas if you're happy with how it sounds in your room, I would recommend setting up a bus mix as post-fader. And what that means is it's going to mimic what you hear in your room, but still allow you to make some fine adjustments on how to do that. This is way too much to get in on a live stream review, the details of doing that. But we put together a free course to help you out called Live Stream Mix Made Simple. I believe that is linked in the description of this video. So look in the description. Go jump into that free little mini course and it'll walk you through how to set up your live stream that way, which may just solve all of your problems. But I don't just want to leave you there. One thing that I want to point out is that I noticed that you need some compression on your vocals. That's what causes them to jump in and out of the mix because there's just too much dynamic range. A vocal can sing soft or really belt it out, and compression brings those two closer together so you don't have as much sporadic things going on in your mix. So definitely go through each of those vocals and apply compression the way that I recommend. And I have a video that'll walk you through how to do that. All you got to do is go to collaborateworship.com, search for vocal compression on the free content page, and you will find that video, or you can just search YouTube for that as well. And you'll find it there. It'll walk you through I know it can be kind of overwhelming, but I simplified in that video, walking you through all the compression settings and how to apply that to vocals. So go do that, and that will also help you to get your live stream louder, because everything will be more controlled, so you'll be able to increase the volume and squeeze more volume out of your live stream mix. So two directions here. Go get my live stream mix made simple course using the link in the description, and also learn all about compression, which I think I actually have. I do have a compression video in the live stream mix course itself. So maybe just start there and you'll get the information about compression that you need there as well. So I kind of like just giving one step, because you start giving multiple steps and it gets overwhelming, right? So just go enroll in that course and then come back, submit your live stream again, and we'll go from there. And of course, you're an all access subscriber, so be sure to hit us up in the Slack group as well between this live stream review and the next one. That way you don't have to wait forever.
Yeah.
What do you think, Dylan, about visuals?
The first thing I noticed that I want to recommend is it looks like the lighting that's hitting the gal there in the front is a different color temperature than the light that's hitting the people on the back row. So the light on the people in the back looks like the camera's white balanced to that light because their skin tone looks good. But the gal there in the front, she's looking kind of blue. So I can tell it's cooler, the light that's hitting her. So I'd recommend buying some gels for the light, unless you can change the color temperature of it. I'm assuming you can't though. So if you can't change the color temp of it, get some, they would like look orange, but they would be warming up your light. It's a gel that you put in front of the light. And you probably have to get some different levels to test and see what it's going to take to match that lighting in the back. But it sticks out to me that she looks blue, and the person in the front's the biggest focus of your shot. So we want to make sure that their skin tones look good. That's really the only thing I'd recommend you work on right now, and that's going to improve things a lot.
Awesome. Well, while I pull up the next one, are there any questions?
Questions. Someone said try some reverb and make the backup singers a little bit lower.
Agree with that. Good advice. Thank you.
We got some people from all over. Got someone from the United Kingdom, from different states here in the U.S. I noticed we have a lot of churches outside of the U.S. that we're reviewing today, which is really cool.
That is cool.
Like 3 or 4 different languages represented too. So
how many of those do you speak?
None of them. I'm classic American. I only speak English.
That's awesome. Thanks for joining us. It's an honor. It truly is an honor to serve people all over the world. It just expands we're here in this little city in Oklahoma. You know, we get to jump out there and help you in the we have a lot of people from the Philippines that tune into these, and like you said, United Kingdom, and it's just awesome.
Yeah. I think Slovakia is one of the places we're reviewing today.
That's amazing.
I know, right?
One of these days, hopefully I can travel and see some of these places in the world. I've not been out of the United States, sorry to say. But my parents have. They're missionaries to the Philippines, so they've been there many times.
You're a lame-o. I'm not much, but I've only been to Mexico, so at least I've been out of the country, but
yeah,
to our neighboring country.
All right, let's jump into this next one. Precious sent this in, and this is RCCG Mount Zion St. John's Church. Man, that's a mouthful. That'd be kind of hard. What church do you go to? I bet they have a shorter way of saying that.
Imagine they have an acronym.
Yeah, I'm sure. Let's see. They just want some general feedback on how it sounds and how it looks. So here we go.
We lift our hands in the sanctuary. We lift our hands to give him the glory. We lift our hands to give him the praise. And we will praise him for the rest of our days. Yes, we will praise him for the rest of our days. We lift our hands. We lift our hands in the sanctuary. Lift our hands to the Lord. We lift our hands. Lift our hands to the Almighty. Give him all the glory. We lift our hands to give you the praise. And we will praise him for the rest of our days. Yes, we will praise him for the rest of our days. We clap our hands. We clap our hands. Clap your hands to the Lord. We clap our hands to give you the glory. We clap our hands to give you the praise. And we will praise him for the rest of our days. Yes, we will praise him for the rest of our days. Our God is a good God. Yes, he is.
All right, so the first thing I noticed is the reverb in the mix, and I was glad to hear reverb because that's something that we often tell people to add in there. So great job having the reverb in there because that like really widens out the sound and livens it up for your live stream mix. But I did notice there was a little too much, and How you know if you're using too much reverb is if it stands out. Like if you're listening to your mix, you're like, oh, I hear the reverb, and it's kind of like a prominent piece in your mix. And dial it back a bit so that it blends in. I don't want you to turn it down very much, but bring it down just a little bit so it's not distracting. And I also noticed that the lead vocal, her vocal sounds really full and warm and clear all at the same time. So she's EQ'd really well, but some of the background vocals were sounding kind of sharp and thin. So I would look at the EQ on those background vocals and try to warm them up a bit. Your low cut filter might be too aggressive. Dial that back a bit to add some warmth back to it. And if you're boosting in that high frequency area, I'm talking about like 1 kilohertz and above, bring down those boosts, like don't boost in that area to provide some more balance on those vocals, because they were just kind of sharp. And they could also probably come down just volume wise in the live stream mix so that we can hear more of the instruments in the mix. And this is just a tip for your musicians. This isn't really anything that you can do at the mixer, but I noticed that not everybody was aligned musically. And so I'm wondering if the vocals are able to hear the instruments well. I'm kind of wondering about the monitoring situation here, because I don't see floor monitors, and I also don't see anybody wearing in-ear monitors, which would probably be why people are having a hard time staying together. So I kind of put this in the future plans of your band to switch to an in-ear monitor situation, because that's really going to tighten them up. Because I saw that wide shot where the band's kind of off to the side, and then we have the vocals, which makes it hard just from hearing natural sound in the room, probably for everybody to stay together. But if everybody gets on in-ear monitors, then everybody will be able to stay together a whole lot better. It'll really tighten up your mix and make it easier for you as a sound person to fix that up. So, and I know that takes money and budget. That's why I said just kind of like maybe put it in your future planning to one day move to in-ear monitors.
Or maybe if they could just get a better floor wedge set up so they could hear a little bit better.
Oh yeah, they do have one floor wedge there, don't they?
Obviously, floor wedges are tricky, though, because you don't want to introduce too much ambient noise into their microphones.
Yeah. Yeah. They just improve the monitoring situation however you can, because that'll help the band be tighter. They were just kind of struggling to stay together. You could kind of hear that in there. So they probably just can't hear each other very well.
I will give a tip, though, for the floor wedges. A lot of people don't know this about mic pickup patterns, but if you have a cardioid microphone, that means it's not really picking up anything right behind the microphone. So the best floor wedge placement is right behind, or right in front of you, right behind the microphone. If you have a super cardioid, it's got some dead spots on the side, so you want to kind of project it from the side. So that's kind of how you match your floor wedge placement to your microphone. So
Good
keep
stuff.
that in mind.
Yeah. What do you think about visuals?
So just two things stick out to me off the bat. It looks a little bit green, so let's adjust that tint a little bit towards the magenta. I feel like I say this a lot. It's just as someone that has edited a lot of videos and colored a lot of videos, white balance is just something that I notice immediately. And if it's off, it kind of distracts me. So let's fix that tint. Like this one looks a lot closer. It looks like the whites are actually white. This one looks a little bit cooler though, and that might just be because the tint is closer, because typically if you adjust tint or you adjust temperature, it's going to kind of like sway the opposite one. So like, let's say you warm it up. I can't remember which one it is, but I think it makes things look greener. And if you cool it down, it makes things look more magenta. Might be the opposite of that. I can't remember off the top of my head. But just play with the balance of matching the white balance on all those cameras. Make sure that white actually looks white, that skin tones look like they do to your eye. Sometimes that can be an issue with just poor lighting too. Sometimes the camera just can't get it just right. So you got to get it as close as you can, work on upgrading your lighting to nicer light fixtures down the line. But the other thing was that middle shot. If you go back to that, I think we're on to something new now. It was just kind of distracting me that nothing is centered in this. If you're able to move the camera to the middle of the room and like center the podium and then that little column that's on the wall, looks like you'll have to shift all your ladies on the stage over to the right a little bit when you do that. But I think it'll add a little more symmetry to the shot if you can center everything. Shoot the camera right down the aisle there. That's the suggestions I got for you for this round. So
Awesome. Thanks for sending that in.
thank you.
We've had several people ask how they can get their live stream reviewed. This is something that we do for our all access subscribers. When you're an all access subscriber, you don't just get your live stream reviewed, but you also get access to our courses and cheat sheets and our private chat group where we help you out throughout the week and from week to week. And you get all of that for $29 a month. Also want to mention that if you are outside of the U.S., we have currency conversion discounts because we know that dollars don't always equal the same thing in other countries. All you got to do is reach out to me and I can get you hooked up with one of those. Send me an email, Kade, K-A-D-E, at collaborateworship.com if you would like to inquire about a currency conversion discount. And also, like I mentioned earlier, we're currently in the middle of a special where you get your first month for $7. So you'll see that whenever you go to sign up. Use the link in the description and you can get there, go become an all access subscriber, and you can submit your live stream and we'll review it the next time we're on here. All righty. Let's see. I think we had one other question. How do you train your vocals how to hold their microphones correctly? They want to make sure, they mentioned that they want to make sure they can always see their mouth in the live stream. And if that's the case, what I would do is for your vocalists that are having a hard time, like they're wandering around with their mic or whatever, just tell them touch the microphone to your chin and leave it at that. That's probably the easiest thing that they can do to make sure that the mic is always close.
Don't let it put it under their chin, though, because your sound's going to get really thin once it's underneath.
In front of your chin.
Yes.
Not under your chin. Good distinction.
You're just going to have to tell them over and over again. Eventually, they'll get tired of you telling them and just actually do it.
Hopefully.
You got to badger them. I know it's annoying, but you have to.
All right. Next up, this is from Jerry, and I don't know how to say the name of his church. Baselia Ministry, I think is how you'd probably say that.
Oh, so his link is not working, so we're going to have to try to come back to him.
Oh man. All right.
I messaged him today, but I haven't gotten anything yet.
Jerry, if you're on here, drop your link in the
Slack,
and we'll pull it up. All right, so let's move on then to Anton, and he is from, also must be outside of the country because I can't pronounce the name of their church either, but they're looking for EQ and vocal on their vocal and instrument balance. What should be changed for it to sound better? All right, here we go. Pulling it up now. Let's take a listen. Awesome. Thanks for sending that in. I actually don't even notice any blaring EQ issues, so I can tell you've been focusing on that. So great job on that. Something that I would consider is I noticed that you're panning your background vocalist quite a bit to the right. And it was a little too hard of a pan. It's okay to pan background vocalists if you want to, although I tend to not do that. I tend to just pan instruments, but that doesn't mean you can't pan your background vocalist. Just make sure it's not too far to the right or left. Bring her back towards the center because it's a little distracting, although a lot of people wouldn't notice that because they're not wearing headphones or they don't have two speakers, but nevertheless, wanted to throw that out there. Another thing you need to do is add some reverb or ambient mics to the mix here because it sounded really dry. You have a great mix going. It just needs to be widened out, become more expansive, so to speak. Start with the reverb. That's probably the easiest way to add that in. And I have a video out there on the 3 reverbs that I recommend using for church sound. And the first one is a plate reverb for vocals. You can just load in like a plate reverb preset on your mixer, and that'll probably be a great starting point. Put that on your vocals. Another is a hall reverb for your instruments. Again, you could just bring up a hall reverb on your mixer, load in that preset, and it'll give you a great starting point. You can fine tune from there. Put that on your instruments, plate on vocals, hall on instruments, and then on your drums, you want to put like a tight room reverb. Those 3 reverbs sound really great together. If you want more detail on how to do that, just go to collaborateworship.com and search for reverb on the free content section. You'll find that video that'll walk you through all of that. So that's going to be my number 1 tip that I give you to improve your mix is incorporate some reverb into that live stream mix. You probably need some in the room too, but if you don't want to add it in the room, you don't have to. You could just add it to the live stream mix only if you want to. Totally up to you. What do you think about visuals, Dylan?
I would just say adjust your exposure down a little bit because the lead vocalist playing the acoustic guitar there, she looks a little bit overexposed. I can see some white on her forehead. I think the colors look pretty good. It's a little on the warmer side, but I think it matches the colors of the room, so I wouldn't even adjust the white balance. And then I would level out your horizon there. It looks like the camera is just a little bit unlevel. I did notice that the other camera angle you had was shaking a little bit. I'm guessing it's from the subwoofer that's sitting right next to it. So I would explore some different mounting options to see if you can mitigate the shaking that's happening there, or maybe just move it to a different part of the room. Test some different things with that and then get back to me. But great job with what you got going on.
Awesome. Yeah, and just a reminder for everybody who submitted their live stream, all of this is just kind of like a step-by-step thing. We're not going to nail down everything that you could improve while we're here doing this review. We really just want to give you kind of like the one or two things that you can work on now, and then resubmit your live stream next month, and we can go from there, or communicate with us through the Slack channel. I mean, we're here to help you out. This is an ongoing thing. So
that's the beautiful thing about being in all access, is that we can make this an ongoing relationship, and we can work on this for the long haul.
For sure. All right, I didn't see any other questions come in, so I'm going to go ahead and move right on to the next one, and this is from Roy from Grace Christian Fellowship. He says vocals are not in the front of the mix, so that's one thing that he wants us to help him sort out. So here we go, pulling it up now. First of all, good job giving us plenty of volume. I didn't have to turn this up quite as far as the other ones. Maybe you should give us some tips on how to maximize your volume. That's impressive. You know, you said you were having problems getting your vocals in the front of the mix, and I'm not hearing that at all. They're way out front. I'm not having a problem hearing them at all. I actually love the kind of like choirish sound that they have. Like you can tell there's multiple vocals in there, and they're actually all blended really well together. So really great job on that. There's one of the lead vocals, the female that's kind of out in the front. She's sounding a little harsh, like she needs some warmth added to her. Take a look at her EQ. Make sure you're not boosting above like 1 kilohertz and up. If you have any boost going on there, bring that back down. And then you may also, if you're cutting too much in the low frequencies, bring that back up a bit to make her sound a little warmer and fuller. And other than that, I would love to hear more of the instruments. I hear them back there, but it's kind of hard. I have to really focus in and listen. So create a better balance between your vocals and your instruments. Maybe you're just overthinking. Since you think your vocals don't sound up front, I'll just encourage you that they do. Your vocals are way out in the front of the mix. So now we need to bring our vocals back a little bit so that we can hear our instruments and everything kind of becomes one blended thing that's working together.
Yeah, I would see about upping your audio bit rate from your live stream software, because I heard a lot of digital noise from compression. That's what it sounded like. Could have been the device you're streaming from too, but if I had to guess, it was probably compression. And
if you're doing that because of internet connection issues, like you have to use a lower bit rate, then I mean it is what it is, right?
But I know like in OBS, you can up your video and your audio bit rate separately. So even if your internet can't handle upping your video bit rate, you can still give it some better audio to work with, and that doesn't like add a whole lot of data to your stream. So look into that.
Awesome. Now they just have lyrics up for the worship part of it, but I do see we have a camera feed here for the pastor, so I'll skip forward to that. So Dylan, you can see it and give any feedback.
Again, on this one, I'm going to say that the tint is a little green, so I would adjust that away from green towards magenta, so make his white shirt look white. You can just see that tiny bit of green in his white shirt, and when they're wearing white in the shot, that does help you white balance a lot easier.
And I'll just say that Dylan's really got a keen eye for this because I wouldn't have even noticed anything wrong with the white balance on this one. But when you pointed it out, I see that it's a little bit green on the green side. So it's a good thing you're here.
I think unless someone taller is coming into the shot, I would pan it down a little bit. I think that's a little bit too much headroom. Just a tiny bit. It's not too bad. It's just, I'm just kind of getting a little nitpicky since we only have one shot to work with here in terms of what I'm grading. I'm guessing he's on the side of the shot because sometimes there's two people in it and you don't have the option to move it around. I would like to see him in the middle of the frame, but if that's the case and you need to keep it like that because there's two people in the shot at times, that's totally fine. I do love that your bricks look level. The camera is very level. That's a good thing because you have a lot of pronounced lines in your shot, so great job there. But work on that white balance and then pan it down ever so slightly, and I think you'll make some improvements.
Awesome. Thanks for sending that in. Let me move along here to the next one. We'll have to pull it up.
I see someone ask, will these courses still be for me if I don't mix in a house of worship? I mix on an X32 for choir, jazz, and band concerts for my school.
Yes. The training works for anybody who's doing mixing for live sound or even like a live stream sound situation. The reason it's called Church Sound Made Simple is just because we're focused on helping churches, but the principles remain the same regardless of where you are mixing.
I'm curious, do you have very many individual instruments mic'd, or is it just kind of like a like full band encompassing like choir mic setup? Curious to know how you do that. And how many like pieces are in the band typically for the school that you're mixing for? I don't know, just things I was wondering. All right, you ready for the next one?
Pulling it up. Yep. All right, so here comes the next one. This is, let's see, from Monoch, I think, Ebenezer Church of God. He says the keys player is too loud in the house. Sometimes I put his gain at -12 and he's still clipping. Bass is not coming out at all in the live stream. My stream is not as loud as it used to be. So he's asking how can he improve his mix and what should he cut and how can he boost his bass in the house and live stream. All right, remind me to come back to those questions, Dylan, in case I don't forget to answer any of those.
C'est pour la vie fait tout pareil au pied. Bon Dieu, c'est pour lui, le moyen à oublier. Oh, levez mon parfait, bon Dieu, non, parfait, bon Dieu, non.
Awesome. First thing I noticed is that lead vocal there, he sounds distorted, which is probably an issue with his gain. So check his gain levels, make sure that he's not clipping. Bring his gain down until he's not. So the way that I recommend setting gain is you bring it up until you're hitting the place where the green lights meet the yellow lights. If you're using the X32, that's that -18 dB mark. You're looking to just be hanging out right there around it. Another mixer might have that at 0 dB, but what you're looking for, where the green lights meet the yellow lights, that's where you should be aiming at whenever you're setting gain. So make that adjustment there. And also on any other channel that's having clipping issues, like you said, your keyboard, even if you have gain at -12, it's still clipping. We'll bring the gain down even further if you need to. You just use gain to get your levels where you need them to go. But you don't want anything clipping, because then you get that distortion issue. And I hear the bass guitar. It does need to come up a little bit, but it's not totally missing. So just bring that up some more in the live stream and in the house mix. And if you're kind of like, if you have the fader all the way maxed out, then that's probably a gain issue as well. Go and set gain for your bass guitar so that it's hitting that place where the green lights meet the yellow lights.
c'est pour la vie fait tout pareil.
So your keyboard has some good reverb on it. It's probably in the keyboard sound itself, but everything else needs a little more ambience and reverb to match that. So add some reverb to your vocals. And if you have some room mics, where it's mics that are pointed towards the congregation, add those into the mix as well. And that's going to bring some life and really widen out the mix. And now let me go back real quick to your questions. Make sure so we talked about the keys player and gain. We already did that. And we talked about boosting the bass in your house and live stream. So we covered both of those. I think that getting all your gains sorted out is going to make a huge difference in how this mix sounds. So that's what I would focus on for you, is go through all gain for every single channel. Make sure every gain level is hitting where the green lights meet the yellow. You're going to have to adjust your mix after that, like where your faders are, but you'll be surprised at how big of a difference that makes. And sorry I didn't go live stream or go full screen, Dylan, but there you go.
It's all good. The one thing I would want to say right off the bat is I saw that there were some other camera angles, but all I'm really seeing for the majority of the time is our lead guy here. He looks good, he sounds good, but I'd really like to see some of like what else is going on the stage. The camera being on him the whole time just makes me curious, like what else is going on. I'm trying to remember what the other shot was. I think I saw like a drum shot a second ago. You might have to look around.
I've only seen this one shot. Was there another one?
Oh, there it was. So there's just that one other one. I would adjust your camera angles if you can to where we can see other things that are going on. It feels a little strange to just be on this one guy when I can hear other people being a part of it as well. On our worship, we have a one camera setup at our church because we like to keep things simple, and we just keep it on a wide shot all of worship so you can see everybody on stage, you can see the lyrics, and it works for us. But I'd say a rule of thumb is if there's multiple people involved in what's going on the stage, then let us see everybody. If it's just one person being involved with what's going on the stage, then one shot on them the entire time is totally fine. That's my recommendation for you to see how you can incorporate the other people in the worship. But other than that, your colors look good. Exposure looks good. Nothing to say there.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Well, I will get the next one pulled up here.
I don't see any new questions in the comments. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in.
Loaded.
I realized I didn't even play our song earlier.
You didn't play our intro song?
I didn't play our intro song.
Man.
We need some elevator music for when we're trying to get things figured out on our end.
All right, so this next one is from, man, I just don't know how to pronounce these names, so I'm so sorry if I butcher your name in this.
I told you there was a lot of foreign ones today.
Present. I like that, the way that sounds. So hopefully I got that right. Present.
Got me.
All right. He's just looking to work out some of the imbalances in the live sound, and he's also having some lighting issues. So here we go. We'll full screen this bad boy and rock and roll.
Stotram, Sanu Papa Kachi Devi Stotram, Kaujilo Dachi Devi Stotram, Ebenezer, Chintakalam.
We'll fast forward a little bit and see what else we got going on.
I knew what they were saying.
I know. So it sounds like they're using backing tracks primarily for music. Oh no, look, we got a keyboard player there. I was wrong.
Where can I buy that patch at? Oh, what was that instrument?
చీకటి చీల్చిన వెలుగువు నీవే చిరు దీపము నాలో వెలిగించినావే అందరం కలిసి చీకటి చీల్చిన వెలుగువు నీవే చిరు దీపము నాలో వెలిగించినావే.
First of all, I'm just really intrigued. I can just sit here and keep on listening. I really like it. I think your mix is great. I think it's great. I really don't have any you need to fix this sort of things. It's very balanced. You're doing a great job with EQ. And this may just be a preferential thing. I noticed the delay on the lead vocal. I thought it was a little bit distracting because it was so prominent in the mix. So I would just bring that down a little bit. That's the only feedback that I'd give you. But then again, that could just be a stylistic thing that I don't understand because we're in different countries, in different cultures and things like that. But yeah, great job. I'm going to come back and listen to this one later some more.
Yeah, I think my favorite part about doing these live stream reviews, especially now that we have all these international ones, is how we get to see that not everyone is doing American worship like the way that we think of worship music. Mm-hmm. I think that we've definitely had an influence around the world in terms of what worship music sounds like, but I love to see that there's other people that are doing their own thing too. Yeah. Because I think it gets really boring when everybody is just doing what's popular in the world, you know?
Agreed.
Very cool to see all these different cultures and styles. Maybe we need to pull a song out like this at our church. We probably get some interesting looks.
That would challenge the musicians too.
No kidding.
No kidding.
Someone needs to pull out that wooden flute thing.
So what do you think about these visuals? Look at that nice LED screen they have behind them.
I think it's big. I like the different camera angles we have going on here. I just noticed some white balance discrepancies from shot to shot, some differences in color balance. Like our main shot was looking a little cold. This shot looks a little bit cold. And then that one of the flute player, I think it looked warm in comparison to these other ones, but it was probably closer to what it should be. So I would work on your white balance, continuity from shot to shot. Yeah, this one's definitely cold there. But I like how the movement you've got going on in the shots. I like how often you're cutting the shots. The only thing I would recommend is instead of cutting to the feed of what's on your LED wall and just making that full screen, I would try superimposing some kind of lower third thing on the bottom. It would probably be nice for people to be able to see the lyrics throughout the whole thing anyway. Those are my recommendations. I wish I knew what that flute was called. He's ripping it. That mic is picking it up really well too.
Yeah, he's got some nice reverb on it too.
Yeah. Ripping it on a keyboard.
That's good stuff. Thanks for sending that in. I really enjoyed that. Awesome. I'll pull up the next one here.
Pull it up.
Hey, this one's from Eric. I can say his name.
Eric?
I got that one down. All right, this is Eric from Big Sky Fellowship. And let's see what he helped with overall sound quality. Seems drums don't sound very good. How can I get the backup vocals to blend better? They're having some difficulty with audio routing from the mixer to the computer running Pro Presenter. I wonder if that's the one that I was talking to today during Slack. And I recommended that he schedule a coaching call with you to get into Pro Presenter and make sure all of that is sorted out, because you're much better at Pro Presenter than I am. I'm still stuck back at Pro Presenter version 2, I think. It's the last one that I use. No, I don't know. What are we on, 7 now?
I think it's 7.
All right, here we go. I'm going to pull this up here.
Because if you are...
Increase in us, we pray. Unveil why we're made. Come set our hearts ablaze with hope, like wildfire in our very souls. Holy Spirit, come invade us now. 'Cause we be a church, and we need your power in us. Seek your kingdom first. We hunger and we thirst. Refuse to waste our lives, for you're our joy and prize to see.
All right, first, props on giving us a warm mix. There was a lot of warmth in that mix, which is often missing in a live stream mix. So great job on that. So now all we need to do is bring some clarity to pair with that warmth, and you'll have a very well-balanced mix. Now on the lead vocal, I want to mention that she needs some reverb on her. She sounded very dry and not really, kind of like over here by herself on the mix, because the keyboard has a lot of ambience with it. Keyboard almost sounded a little bit too wide for me. You probably have it connected left, right in a stereo connection, and then one pan far left, one pan far right. I'd bring those back into the center just a little bit to bring some more focus to the keyboard, because it sounded just a little bit strange because there was so much width to the sound. I don't know how else to describe it other than that. But yeah, add some reverb to that lead vocal. It's going to really help her to blend in a little better. And I want to give you props on that acoustic guitar mix. That's something that we comment on a lot, is how the acoustic guitar can tend to ruin a mix because it's either run too loud or the EQ is just not right, but you got it right. So great job on that. And then on the drums, I think you have a great thing started. They just need some more volume. Like, the main thing that I noticed is the snare, couldn't really hear it. And the snare, especially in a song like what we just listened to, in a higher energy song, that snare really needs to be kind of like a prominent part of the mix. Kick, snare, kick, snare, kick, snare. I could hear the kick. It was pretty prominent. There wasn't a lot of clarity to the kick. I wasn't hearing where the beater hits the head. They call that the click of the kick drum. I was hearing the body of the kick drum, but not the click of it. So you may check the EQ on the kick guitar or the kick drum to make sure that you're not cutting out those high frequencies, because that's where you get the clarity from the kick. Yeah. So, and then bring up that snare drum. Now, I'll give you a quick drum EQ tip that makes almost all the drums sound better. Whether that be your snare drum or your floor tom or your other toms. There's a mid-frequency issue in almost all of those. It usually lands somewhere between 300 hertz and 800 hertz. You kind of got to sweep through there to find out where it is for each drum. The placement's going to be a little bit different, but you can make a huge cut in that area, and it takes away that boxy, yucky sound from the drums whenever you do that. So you're going to use a PEQ filter, set your Q value to 3. And how I would start is you boost about 6 dB and you sweep through that low mid frequency spectrum until you find where it sounds kind of the ugliest. And once you find that spot, then you cut it out by 6 dB. And you can even go as low as like cutting it out by 9 dB. And you're going to be surprised at how much of a difference that makes in shaping your drum sound. So I'm going to leave you with that and pass it on to Dylan. What do you think for visuals?
First off, great job color matching from one camera to the next. Everything looked blanking, what's the word I'm looking for? Everything looked consistent color-wise. I liked all the different shots you had. I got to see everybody on the stage. I think throughout worship, I would have liked to have seen some wide shots thrown in there instead of just all close-ups of all the individual people on the stage. And I think you could even switch those shots a tiny bit faster. I was going to comment on how everybody's skin tones looked a little bit magenta, and then I just watched for a little bit longer and realized it was just the color of the lighting. I'm not sure if that's because you have key lighting that has a magenta hue to it, or if you had color lighting that was just hitting their faces. If that's the case and it's just a color design that's making things look magenta, that's all right. But if it's not meant to look magenta like that, then I would work on fixing the color balance there just to make their skin tones look a little more natural. And then I can see now the camera here that we're looking at now is a little overexposed. When I look at the guy in the white shirt talking at the front of the stage, his shirt is a little bit blown out. So if you're able to, you're going to either have to adjust the exposure on your camera from worship to this, because I know that the amount of light is changing from scene to scene, or you're just going to have to bring the two closer together in the room. You'll have to determine which one of those better fits your scenario. For us, from worship to the message, obviously a lot more light is flooding the stage during the message than during worship. So we just take a second and adjust the white balance on our camera. Our camera allows us to boost the white balance a little bit without adding a ton of noise during worship, and then we just take it back to its native ISO during the message. So that's an option too. You can just throw up some kind of slide or some kind of animation while you do that. But yeah, those are my suggestions. Great job.
Sweet. I wanted to just pop in and say thanks to Ryan Polk. He's been engaged this whole time, giving his feedback. Thanks, man, for being such a big part of this live stream review today. I'm going to go ahead and load up in the next one here. This is from Melinda Finlay, Anchor Church. We have followed your directions, and then there's still some things we're working on. The sound of the acoustic guitar, drum levels for online. We use Shure wireless microphones, and just recently the voice will sound garbly for a few seconds. That sounds fun. We constantly have a problem if the audio tech doesn't mute the computer after the bumper video, where it hums the entire time the pastor is preaching. Do you have suggestions for cords running to the computer from the X32 to keep away the hum? Yes, you can use the USB audio interface on the back of the X32 to connect it to your computer and get your audio that way, instead of using the headphone cable that you're using, which are prone to interference like what you just talked about. If you need some help setting that up, reach out to me on Slack or send me an email and I'll walk you through the specifics of how to do that. Let me pull up the video here. Coming right up. Going full screen. All right, here we go.
Who are walking through our doors for the first time, we want to welcome them to our church family. Christ is my firm foundation, the rock on which I stand, when everything around me is shaken. I've never been more glad that I put my faith in Jesus, 'cause he's never let me down. He's faithful through generations, so why would he fail now? He won't. He won't. He won't fail. He won't fail.
All right, so let's start with that acoustic. I think it's sounding a lot better. So great job with the EQ on that acoustic. I actually see we have two acoustic players there, right, Dylan? Isn't that what I'm seeing?
Yeah, I think so.
I could only hear one of them. I could hear the gal who's playing. I couldn't really hear this other one. One little technique that you could use when you have two acoustic guitar players is pan one slightly to the pan the girl slightly to the left and the guy slightly to the right, and that's going to give you some depth to your mix, some width to your mix. So do that next, and you're going to notice your acoustic guitars even go to the next level. As far as the drums go, they just need more volume. That's all. I mean, I can't even really hear that snare drum at all, and it should be a prominent part of the mix. You should be able to hear kick, snare, kick, snare. So bring up that volume quite a bit. I'm talking about like 5 or 10 dB boost. More. Need more drums. Thanks, Dylan. That is going to drastically change your mix just by bringing the drums up. So let's not make it any more complicated than that. They just need to be louder, and it's going to sound a whole lot better. So start there. More drums and pan those acoustic guitars, and you're on your way to a next level mix. And then we can keep going from there. What do you think about visuals, Dylan?
Number one, I like how your lyrics are displayed.
Very nice.
If I had to say one thing about them, they might be a little bit on the big side, but at least they're very legible and you can read them very easily. I imagine that's very easy to read on a phone too.
Which is important.
I'm just looking at it blown up on a laptop screen, so that's why I said that. But I'm looking at this and I'm wondering if you have some kind of LUT or color preset added to your footage, either in your live stream software or in the camera itself, because I'm noticing the blacks are really crushed. Crushed meaning like, how do you describe that? That they're not. If you look at a histogram or a waveform of your lighting and your shot, the blacks are not at zero. They're kind of like pushed up. they're lifted. So if that's the case, I personally don't think that the crushed blacks look the best. Maybe it just needs some contrast adjustment. Maybe the camera is just rendering that kind of dynamic range for some reason. So maybe add some contrast in your live stream software, or try a different LUT. If you are using a LUT, you'll have to let me know later on in Slack. And then it's also very warm. If you look at their skin tones, everybody's orange. So I would recommend adjusting your white balance so that we're not so far on the warm side there. Actually, it almost looks like that warmth is added in the live stream software, because didn't it look like that white was warm too from the lyrics?
Yeah.
It was kind of orange, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So maybe that's just a color correction that you have in OBS or something. So I would dial that back. Could be, if you have a LUT, again, it could be the LUT that's making it look warm. It's just very dramatic looking. And my preference would be not that. I would make it look a little more natural. But if that's what you like, then you do you. That's all good.
Ryan helped us out in the comments. He said that's an electric guitar, and now looking closely, he's right.
I couldn't really hear it. Could you?
Nope. Let's listen one more time here. Let me see if there's another song in here that we could listen to. Maybe at the end.
It's a bummer when it doesn't give you a thumbnail while you're scrubbing.
Do. All right, well, let's listen to this again. Oh, well, this is a different song.
Holy Spirit, come. We're on the edge of a new beginning. God, you know we've got so much more. We're looking to a new horizon. We're praying for your rain to
Yeah, I don't hear the electric guitar, so let's bring him up in the mix. And you can still use that panning technique that I told you about earlier. You could pan the acoustic guitar a little bit to the left and the electric a little bit to the right. One more additional piece of advice is on the piano. It sounded really low mid heavy. So I would clean that up a little bit. Maybe even add a low shelving filter around 600 hertz and just cut it down like 3 dB to shape that sound a little bit, because it just sounded really heavy in those low mids and it needs some clarity added to it. So that'll do that for you.
Credit to William. He pointed out that they don't really have any key lighting on anybody on the stage. So good observation there. You guys definitely would benefit from having some key lighting, if you want to call it front lighting, some lighting that is hitting the front of them, naturally colored, kind of like the lighting that's lighting us here. You want some of that on, especially the people that are on the front of the stage, but I think everybody would benefit from it. I know that's a cha-ching recommendation. You're going to have to invest a little bit of money in that key lighting, and you're going to have to invest some time mounting it and all the things that come along with that. But
Good times.
that's a worthy upgrade to plan for in the future.
Of course, yes. All right, I think we have time for one more, but first I want to say hey to Andre. He says it's first time here. Cheers from Brazil. Thanks for being with us, man. He says, where do we send our live streams in for review? This is something that we do for our All Access subscribers, so you'll first need to subscribe to All Access. It is $29 a month, and it doesn't just give you access to live stream reviews, but also to all of our courses and cheat sheets and everything we have to offer, including our private chat group on Slack, where we answer your questions throughout the week in an ongoing way. So go join us on All Access. We're currently running a promotion where you get your first month for $7, so a great way to try it out. And you're in Brazil, so we also offer currency conversion discounts, because we know that money doesn't work the same in every country, so we want to accommodate for that. All I need you to do is send me an email and I can get you hooked up with a currency conversion discount. Cade@collaborateworship.com. KADE @collaborateworship.com. And just say I'm interested in a currency conversion discount, and I'll get you all squared away.
Shoot, money doesn't even work the same here day to day.
I know, right?
The value of money always changing. Oh, real quick, there's a comment about white shirts that I wanted to address. Someone said maybe just stray away from white shirts, because we had that shot earlier of the guy with the blown out white shirt. I'm going to say that if your cameras do not give you a lot of dynamic range to work with, then that's a good piece of advice. It's probably going to struggle to get your skin tones at the proper exposure without blowing out white in your shot. But if you have a decent camera, it should have enough dynamic range that if your skin tones are the proper exposure, white's not really going to be an issue. Cade wears white all the time. On Sunday, we have a Blackmagic Studio 4K, about a $1,200 camera, really not crazy expensive. Gives you a lot of dynamic range to work with. Actually, I was really impressed with it actually when we bought it, because it's just a micro 4/3 sensor. It's not even full frame or super 35 or anything like that. But it gives you plenty of dynamic range that Cade can wear white. His skin tones look perfect, and the white ain't blown out. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, don't tell me I can't wear white. It's one of my favorite things to wear. All right, so this last one that we're going to do today is from Sean from Evangel Chapel. He's just looking for any input is greatly appreciated. So here we go.
That's why I trust him. That's why I trust him. I sought the Lord, and he heard, and he answered. I sought the Lord, and he heard, and he answered. I sought the Lord, and he heard, and he answered. That's why I trust him. That's why I trust him. I sought the Lord, and he heard.
All right, man. So the first thing we're going to have to get sorted out is the peaking, the clipping issues. So somewhere you got it boosted too high, so we're hitting into the red on that level meter, which makes it really hard for me to hear any sort of advice that I could give you. I think we have a great thing going underneath the distortion, but it's really hard for me to tell, so I don't want to give advice that's doesn't work because I'm just having to guess. So let's get that fixed first, then you can resubmit and we can go from there. So what you want to do is you want to go through the entire signal chain. You want to look at your individual channels and make sure that nothing is hitting red. And then you want to look at your live stream bus, make sure it's not hitting red. And then you want to go into your live stream software, whether that be OBS or something else, and make sure it's not hitting red. And you just bring those levels down until you're not going into that clipping area. Because when you clip, when you hit red, you're going to hear distortion. So let's get that fixed first, and then we can go from there. And if you dig in here and you can't figure out where this is coming from, reach out to us on Slack, and we will help you out one-on-one. You can also schedule a coaching call with me or Dylan, and we can help you out that way since you're an all-access subscriber.
Did you notice that we met him at the church front conference?
Oh, we did, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Glad to have him be a part of all access now.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Dylan, what do you think about visuals?
First thing I'm noticing is that things are overexposed. You can see that in the skin tones right there, especially the two in the front. It looks like they're just getting a lot more of the key lighting than the people in the back. So let's expose for them. It's going to make the people in the back a little bit darker, but that's okay because they're not the forefront focus of what's going on the stage. So adjust your exposure to where they're exposed properly. And it looks like she might even be getting more light than him. I can't tell if it's just because she has a more fair complexion than him. That might mean that you need to do some adjusting with your key lighting to get it more even across the stage.
Just looking at like how the background compares to the foreground, would you say this is a lighting imbalance issue more than an exposure issue?
I mean, I'd have to see it after they adjust exposure for the people in the front, like how dark that they get in the back. Typically, you want a little bit of dimension between your back line of people and your front line of people, because typically your front line is the lead vocalist, and they're the ones that are leading. So it makes sense for them to be a little bit more bright than the people in the back. That's how it is at ours. I don't think our key lighting actually hits our back instrumentalists at all. They're just kind of washed with the back lighting. So they're kind of colored, and that's okay to me because they're not the focus of the shot, but we can see them. We can see what they're doing, which is what I'm going for. So style preference. If you want them to be evenly washed from front to back, you can do that. That's just going to take a lot more key lighting to make that happen. You have to put some more key lighting up there for that back row of people. But I think it's perfectly okay if they're a little bit darker. Let's just get those front people exposed properly.
Rock and roll. Woo. Thanks everybody for sending in your live streams. It's been fun hearing live streams from really all over the world, huh? Pretty cool experience to do that. And also, we've answered this question already several times, but if you want your live stream reviewed, become an all-access subscriber using the link in the description. If you jump in within the next 7 days, you'll get your first month for $7.
$7.
All righty. I think that covers it all, other than Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
We are final countdown to everybody's Christmas Eve services, right? So just pray that you'll keep your cool, stay calm, and not get too bent out of shape over all the extra demands that come as being a part of a church at Christmas time. Remember the reason for the season. Get with your family, celebrate Jesus, calm down. It'll all go well.
True that.
Just do your best. Let God take care of the rest, right?
Love it.
All right. Thanks for being with us. We'll do this again soon in about a month. So we'll see you next year for the next live stream review. And hopefully you'll be, if you're not a part of All Access already, come be a part of All Access. We'd love to have you as part of the crew. We're having a good time. All right, y'all. Have a great day or a great night wherever you are. And we'll see you next time.
Deuces.
Bye.